Hey everyone, that's me showing off this delicious meatloaf that I made. This is a recipe from a vintage 1960s cookbook. It's called Favorite Beef Loaf. So let's get into it. The first thing that you're going to need is 1/2 cup of finely chopped onion and about 2 tablespoons of chopped green bell pepper. You're also going to need 2 eggs. Now, the original recipe calls for using 1.5 pounds of ground beef. However, I'm only using 1.25 pounds of ground beef, so I'm only going to use 1 egg in this case. But of course, you can use more if you're using more beef. The next ingredient that you will need is 1 cup of saltine cracker crumbs. Because I'm using a little bit less beef, I'm only going to use 3/4 cups. Now I'm adding 1 8-ounce can of tomato sauce. The original recipe calls for using seasoned tomato sauce, which they don't make anymore, so feel free to adjust your seasonings however you wish. You're going to need a dash of thyme and a dash of marjoram. The original recipe calls for a little bit too much salt, in my opinion, like 1.5 teaspoons. I think that's too much. Plus, I'm using a little bit less ground beef. So I'm only using 3/4 teaspoon, but of course it's up to you. You can add how much you like. Now I'm going to stir up all of these ingredients and combine everything really well before I add my beef. Oh, and I almost forgot, I'm going to add 1 medium crushed bay leaf. And now it's time to add the ground beef, and you're going to combine the beef with the other ingredients and mix everything very thoroughly. Now it's almost time to bake your meatloaf. You're going to shape the meat into a loaf on a pan or in a pan. I'm using a broiler pan because that's what I prefer to do. And I've lined it with parchment paper, as you can see, and I've slashed little holes in it, where the slits are in the pan. This is to help the grease drip, but this is also to help eliminate any messes because I hate cleaning up a dirty broiler pan. They get really dirty. So this is actually very helpful. Of course, you can do it however you want. If you want to bake it in a loaf pan, that's fine. And I'm placing some onion rings, raw onion and bell pepper on top of the meatloaf. You can do that if you want to. It just looks visually appealing. And you're going to bake this in a preheated oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about an hour or until it's done. And there you have it, favorite beef loaf from the 1960s. This is nice and well done. It's juicy and delicious. And it's so simple to make. This is a big hit in my home every time I make it. Okay guys, that's it for this video. If you liked it, please do give it a thumbs up because that really helps me out. And while you're here, please do consider subscribing to my channel because I do plan to upload more great content in the future.